We're all being asked to do more with less nowadays. And for those of us doing production operations, one of the best ways we can do that is by eliminating waste. And I've talked in the past about the difference between slack, the over provisioning of resources to deal with variability or failures, as well as ways that we might be able to reduce spikes in demand, and spread them out over time. In this video, I'll be talking about how to instead use automation to drive higher utilization. So I'll use the example of disk utilization, not because it's your most expensive cost, but because it's easy to understand. When I look at customer instances, most of the time, the disks are radically over provisioned, like maybe only used 10 or 20% total. That was true at AWS as well. It was one of the reasons they moved to EBS and elastic storage, even for the boot volumes, because at scale, it actually adds up and costs a lot of money. So, but at the same time, it can make sense to dramatically over provision because disks are, on a one off basis, pretty inexpensive. Running out of space can cause a midnight page, but at scale, it adds up. What's much better is to actively monitor your disks, see when they might run out of space, either by saying it's going to hit a 70% threshold or it's got just a day or two until it's going to run out of space, and then grow them only when needed rather than statically assign a large amount of space up front, which is just going to be wasted. Shoreline's disk op pack is one of our most popular automated remediations for exactly this reason. It's very safe, it removes stupid tickets in the middle of the night, and it saves people money. I did something similar when I was at Amazon working on Amazon Aurora, basically starting all of our databases there at 10 gigabytes and just automatically growing them as needed behind the scenes. Let's make that a little bit more sophisticated. Now, I said 70% because we're told that SSDs should only fill to 70%. Let's dig in behind the scenes there. The reason for that is that SSDs write out of place. And so you need extra space for that second write to happen. And what happens is behind the scenes, there's a garbage collector that cleans up old versions of pages. The more free space you have, the less often that garbage collector needs to run, the more it can just fill in time between foreground requests, and the less it's going to impact the latency of the writes that you're making to the system. So if you think about it, 70% is an arbitrary number. If you're running a read mostly or read only system, you can be a lot higher. If you're running a heavily write oriented system, it kind of needs to be a lot lower. And so really it becomes important to do active management to be able to really tune this number so that you can decide what that threshold should be. Now that's something you can build if you've got a feedback control loop using something like Shoreline. It's really hard to do if you're trying to monitor a large fleet of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of disks. You can't manage them all one by one. So you need software for this sort of stuff. But you can drive your utilization way, way higher and lower your bill. I'd love to hear how you guys are doing that yourself, using active management to reduce your bills.